Corporate America didn't burn me out. I did that to my damn self. I was at the front of the line chugging every flavor of that corporate Kool-Aid like it came with stock options and free swag. Nobody ordered me to answer emails with an IV in my arm. Nobody made me crack open my laptop on Christmas Eve while my family unwrapped gifts and I sat in the corner like a little disgraced elf. Nobody told me to run strategy meetings from my bathroom, whispering my Q4 updates while riding that mute button like it was Olympic sport. One slip and they don't hear the revenue forecast. They hear the flush. Nobody made me do any of that. That was all me. I did 30 years in corporate and I got laid off a year and a half ago and I still can't find a job. I can't even freaking get an interview. This video isn't just my take on things. I'm kind of showing off some scars. I didn't just burn out my body. I torched my brain. I rewired myself to feel guilty for resting and proud for suffering. I thought exhaustion meant integrity. I thought working through grief meant I was strong. I wasn't strong. I was domesticated. Okay, roll over. Okay, good girl. Hit accept. Fetch another unrealistic deadline. Who's my good girl? Let me say a controversial truth. You're not forced into corporate burnout. You're trained to chase it. You're conditioned to think that rest is weakness, boundaries are betrayal, and likability is the same thing as safety. It's built into the culture's blueprint. And while you're over here clapping for your own dedication, the company's clapping too because you just saved them on payroll. This isn't blame. This is an autopsy. You're not the problem, but you've been trained to think that pain is proof of your value. So here's the real question. If no one actually asked you to destroy yourself for your career, why do you keep doing it? Here's the thing. Corporate America didn't give me burnout. I worked unpaid overtime to earn it. I ran towards that sucker like it came with a pension, a parking space, and a plaque for outstanding sacrifice at the finish line. I skipped vacations because I thought loyalty was job security. I traded my PTO for deliverables and I called it ambition. I said yes to every urgent request because nothing screams irreplaceable like pulling an all-nighter for a project that gets scrapped next week. I once canceled a dentist appointment so I could join a last-minute meeting called Sync About the Last Sink. I shit you not. Come to think of it, my cavity outlasted that project. I have nodded through garbage ideas like I was trying to win America's Next Top Yes Woman. Saying I'll handle it wasn't a skill, it was a survival tick. Because where I work, disagreeing didn't make you smart. It made you a problem. Answering emails at midnight meant I was driven when really, I was just everyone's favorite unpaid ghost that no one asked for, but everyone relied on. I wasn't just tired. I was unrecognizable to myself. The only emotions that I had left were caffeine jitters and Microsoft Teams rage. Oh yeah, and that weird shame that you feel when someone says, per my last email, and you get all indignant and then you realize, oh yeah, you did say that in your last email. You're right. My bad. And the culture fed it. Every time someone said, oh, Sheila, you're such a rock star. I'm like, ooh. I thought it was a compliment. It wasn't. It never was. I bought the lie that suffering made me trustworthy. I felt proud of being exhausted. But choosing harm doesn't make it noble. It just makes it yours. I full on admit that I did all of that to myself. But trust me, nobody is going to pull you aside and tell you to stop. But I will right now. If any part of this sounds familiar, here is your sign to change. So tell me, does any of this sound like you? What's the moment that made you realize that you were the one setting yourself on fire? Drop it in the comments. I do read every single one. I know the truth. I carried the match. I poured the gasoline and then I lit myself on fire while everybody clapped and said, oh, you're glowing. That wasn't hustle. That was hostage behavior. I wasn't climbing the ladder. I was chained to it while everyone used me as a step. The thing that sucked was that the part that broke me was what I liked the most about myself. They called me collaborative, a real team player. I was flexible and had a great attitude. I was the only one that they could depend on. Now, all of those sound really flattering until you realize how none of those words describes any actual skill, right? None of those words mean competent. They mean compliant. I was basically corporate Dora the Explorer, always smiling, always helpful, just following orders from a talking backpack named Corporate Priorities. And here's the absurd part. I was proud of it. I wore my easy to work with badge like armor, but it turned out to be camouflage because easy really meant easy to ignore, easy to underpay, and easy to overwork. Like I thought that HR was going to roll in someday with a trophy that said Best Supporting Actress in a Workplace Fantasy. Nope. I thought that being agreeable made me indispensable. I thought my ability to swallow crap with a grin was strategy. I strived to make myself so indispensable that nobody would dare get rid of me. My likability was my shield, but none of it protected me. Not one bit. Turns out shields don't do much when the bullets are coming from your own team. I thought being palatable would keep me safe. What it really did was keep me silent. Because the second you stop being easy, the minute you say no or push back or even just raise an eyebrow too high in a meeting, you're suddenly difficult. You're not a culture fit. You're rebranded from asset to liability in record time. Being easy to work with doesn't make anyone respected. It makes you convenient, a utility. Once people know you won't fight back, they build the whole system around your silence. You become the person that they know will never complain, never escalate, and never push back. That silence, that becomes your brand. Corporate reads assertiveness as aggression. It rewards silence over availability, and it punishes boundaries as betrayal. The constant performance of being likable doesn't just exhaust you, it disconnects you. You become removed from your anger. You get used to smiling and saying, no problem, so much that you forget what it feels like to push back. You don't even know what your needs are anymore, and you ignore your values and let things slide that eat at you. The end result? You're praised for your attitude while your actual work, ideas, and presence disappear. Being accommodating isn't a strength when it costs you your self-respect. I thought if I stayed late, bled for the deadline, and dragged my flu-ridden body into the office, someone would finally whisper, wow, she's so committed to the team. Look at her go. Look at her go. But nah. What really happened is they thought, oh, perfect. She's still functioning. Pile it on. I thought the more I suffered, the safer I'd be. And I defended it. That's the part that still makes me nauseous. I called it loyalty. I called it professionalism. I even bragged about it. Look at me, the reliable one, the one you can always count on. I was literally doing PR for my own exploitation. I once got a thank you email from a VP that I'd never even spoken to. It said, your attitude is a model for the rest of the team. I hadn't said a word in 3 weeks. I was barely logging in at this point. But sure, let's call that morale. Okay, so for what it's worth, here's my advice. Stop turning your breakdown into a brag. Stop confusing a slow death with a solid work ethic. Being chronically tired isn't a skill set. It is a symptom. You don't need to advertise your burnout. They've already budgeted for it. You're not proving grit. You're volunteering to go down with the ship and then mop the deck while you're at it. They're not impressed. They're just hoping that you don't die before you finish your Q4 deliverables. Stop confusing likability with safety. Being easy to work with isn't a compliment. Suffering isn't loyalty. They aren't keeping you around because of your value. They're keeping you because you don't know when to stop giving. It's not that they brainwashed me. I did that to myself. I clapped for the very system that hollowed me out. I smiled through the lies because I wanted to believe that I was noble. I wasn't noble. I was housebroken. Like a show dog with a badge. And here's the twist. This isn't just me. The whole culture runs on people like me. People who mistake pain for proof of value. People who think likability is protection. And people who confuse being agreeable with being respected. We are the scaffolding holding up a structure that was never built for us in the first place. Try this on for size, okay? Clarity instead of silence. Boundaries instead of likability. Rest instead of unpaid overtime. Those aren't betrayals, they're CPR. So no, I wasn't just complicit, I was complicit with confetti. I defended the system that was killing me and then I clapped for the show. My likability failed me. So what happens now? Who do I blame? As I've said before, corporate America didn't burn me out. I did that all to myself. I mistook exhaustion for character, obedience for respect, and being likable for being safe. And for years, I thought that was the deal. The more of myself I gave away, the more protected I'd be. But the truth is, the more I gave, the less I mattered. I remember once I no-showed at a meeting for 3 weeks and I was still listed as a key contributor. Nobody even noticed that I wasn't there. I never even opened the doc. I'm not even sure what the project was. I might have been the product manager. I guess we'll never know. I wasn't some tragic martyr who got taken advantage of. I was a willing volunteer in my own collapse. I wrapped up my burnout, tied it up with a bow, and handed it to them like a prize. And they didn't even say thank you. They just put me on another project with another unrealistic deadline smacked on it. That's the cost of being agreeable. Not recognition, not safety, just disappearance. You become so polished, so pleasant, so predictable that eventually you're not even a person. You're just a piece of office furniture. Convenient until you break and replaceable the second that you do. I spent years thinking likability was a shield, but it wasn't. It was bait. It kept me smiling while they scraped out what was left of me like the last bit of Skippy stuck to the bottom of the jar. It kept me agreeable while I starved myself of rest, of clarity, of dignity. While I was writing this video, I remembered that once I got flagged for not filling out a compliance form while I was in the hospital on PTO, I let them know and they wrote back, understood, still required. Y'all, that's not accountability. That's a cult. Stop confusing being easy for being safe. Stop selling pain as proof of value and start making the trade that actually pays. Again, clarity over silence, boundaries over likability, rest over unpaid overtime, because that is the only exchange that leaves you standing. So, if being difficult means you get to stay whole and being hard to work with means you don't vanish into silence, you wear that shit proudly. Nobody tells you that undoing this is harder than doing it in the first place. And it's not just about saying no, it's about remembering what you even wanted to say yes to in the first place. So the next time someone tells you that you're so easy to work with, take it exactly how it's meant, a threat. Because what they mean is that you won't say no, and so they don't have to stop. Now, they didn't push me out because I failed. They pushed me out because I eventually made it inconvenient for them to ignore me. I trained them to expect everything, and then I took it away. But here's the thing. The silence that I used to be praised for, they used it to erase me. And if you've ever wondered why the people doing the least keep getting promoted, while the ones holding the whole system together get quietly pushed out, don't worry. I found the answer. And yeah, it's pretty disgusting.